right place going up to East Lansing.
So am I, Dan. I'm champing at the bit to get up there and take care of the Spartans too. Trust me. But gotta get through this one first. That one's gonna be fun, man. Coming up November 8th, and see, we're doing it too. Can't look past this weekend. We just gotta wait a couple more days before we can talk about that. I wanted to ask you. I had this in my notes for when you came on. You know, you and I have talked on and a little bit off the air about all the stuff going on around Florida State and Jimbo Fisher's program down there. Have you seen the latest? I talked a bit about it. It was yesterday's show, I believe, with the running back Carlos Williams. Not only with the domestic violence investigation with him and his pregnant girlfriend, but the fact that apparently he was involved / witness to / needed to speak to the police about an armed robbery 4 months ago, and he just decided, you know what, I changed my mind. I'm not going to come talk to the police, and nobody's made him go. And I'm like, man, it just speaks to what we've talked about. Regardless of who's guilty of what, I understand that everybody's innocent till proven guilty, all the qualifying stuff that you have to say. But end of the day, there's something bubbling around this program. You can't have 13s with players that are all misunderstandings.
That's right, Jerry. And what's disturbing is when you see the flip side of what Florida State does. And I go back, and you can go back to Ohio State in 2010, and the more recent example is Todd Gurley at Georgia, where being open and admitting things and coming. Gurley just got 2 more games for a total of 4 for getting a little bit of cash for some autographs. And you've got a returning Heisman Trophy winner, playing 2 seasons worth of football when he was credibly accused of rape. Not to say he raped the girl, because we don't know about consent and everything else, but we know that the girl certainly acted like an actual sexual assault victim did. Ohio State brought the NCAA into their athletic department, let them basically live in the OSU athletic department for 3 months while they did their investigation, cooperated, held their hand, did everything they possibly could do. And what they do, they got a suspension, they got a bowl ban. So other teams around the country look at that and they say, okay, what happens to you when you cooperate with the NCAA and when you cooperate with law enforcement people or whatever? You get penalized, you get screwed over. There's no benefit to being cooperative, just like Todd Gurley just found out. Meanwhile, the message to everybody else in college football is lawyer up, man. Deny, deny, deny. And your guy plays while everybody else sits around and sorts things out and waits for the legal process to play itself out and blah, blah, blah. That's what Florida State has learned to do. And when a guy that maybe shouldn't have even been playing last year when he won the Heisman Trophy and, by the way, the national championship, and again this year, is still playing, missed a game for some innocuous reason, some little trivial thing that he did, and we pay attention to the trivial stuff and penalize for that. Meanwhile, the elephant in the room is there's a potential rape victim sitting there that has yet to receive any justice for what Jameis Winston allegedly did to her. So, it's the message is wrong. The message of deny, 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 lawyer up, don't say anything, don't cooperate. If you can, like the Tallahassee Police Department, collude with the university administration to obstruct justice, hey, go ahead and do it, because at least your guy will still be playing in the big game next weekend when otherwise he might not be. So it really is appalling. I've been down on Florida State and can't really root for them to succeed at anything until somebody is accountable for the behavior of their athletes and, frankly, the behavior of their local police department, which is even more disturbing.
Right.
So, it's the message is all wrong. The message about, hey, come clean, tell the truth, cooperate, and we'll slam you. But if you just lawyer up, hey, we can't do anything because we don't have subpoena power, and the NCAA has been absolutely invisible in terms of the whole Florida State situation, which is, again, to their great discredit.
I mean, somebody to me also somebody from the outside should probably, investigate this whole deal. Like you bring up the police. We talked about that. The whole effort to help Florida State keep control of that investigation and impede it, in all honesty. And this here, okay, let's not even get into the fact that now, by the way, the attorney for the assault victim, we're pulling a Ray Rice here. Now we've got the victims are now asking for these investigations to end, of course, because we can't affect anybody's football career. We have to make sure that they're able to go out and run the ball this Saturday or Sunday or whatever it may be. But the thing with the Williams case, it's not even the domestic assault. That's a separate issue. The fact that he's involved in an apparent armed robbery, whether he's involved, he's a witness, he is attached to a group of guys that were accused of and are basically setting up a drug deal for pot and then robbing the guy at gunpoint and taking his money. And he was one of the people involved or wanted to be questioned. Police reached him back in June. We're talking about Carlos Williams. He said, "Of course, I'll come in this week. I'll talk to you guys on Friday. I'll come in and this is the police, we're not talking about the university that doesn't have subpoena power and all. We're talking about the police department." He said, "Yes, detective, I'll be there on Friday." Friday comes and goes. He never shows up. They call the young man and he says, "Well, I've talked to an attorney and I was told not to speak to you anymore, so I'm not going to come in." And since then, nobody has gone and knocked on his door. Nobody has gone and asked, if you or I did that, we'd have 5 minutes later, there'd be an officer at the door that says, "We need to speak to you. Come on down." And they will bring you down and question you. There is no, "I'm not coming down and answering your questions." But somehow up until this week, he has not been brought back in. And I saw some quotes that said nobody knew exactly why they weren't able to get him brought in. But I'm like, come on. He went 4 months without coming in to answer questions about an armed robbery. That's not exactly a jaywalking case.
Yeah, exactly. And I think all you need to do to understand the why of that question is to read what the New York Times in April of 2014 and the New York Times again and Fox Sports again this past month have written about how the Tallahassee Police Department has been in bed with the Florida State University administration in protecting Florida State football players from anything, from prosecution and obviously now to, obstructing justice in other criminal cases, whether they're involved or not. I mean, it's appalling. To me, it's what the NCAA defines as lack of institutional control. It's the textbook case of it. And I just, it's where it's analogous to Penn State and Jerry Sandusky, where the administration is involved in protecting criminality, hiding, obscuring, obstructing, the prosecution of criminals because of their football program, outsized importance of their football program to their school, to their town, to their community and their economy and everything else. It's a case of screwed up priorities, and somebody ought to be held accountable to it, and maybe somebody will be at Florida State, but that'll be long after Jameis Winston is a millionaire in the NFL.
That's it, and maybe way after they win the first ever football playoff and all the prestige and money that comes with that. And all these things that can be changed in the record books later, but they actually happened in real life. We've talked about that before. Anyways, Dan, great conversation. And so real quick, what is this you just sent me in the email here? Hang on. You got this list of totally off of what we were just talking about.
I just thought it was interesting.
This is hilarious.
A listing of the number of pitches that each major league team threw this year that were 97 miles an hour or higher.
Right.
And you've got the Kansas City Royals on top with 2,287 pitches at 97 or better. Twice as many as the next highest team, the Miami Marlins.
Yep.
And then down at the bottom, Minnesota Twins. One pitch all year. One pitch all year versus 2,287. One pitch, and it was by Lester Olivares, who I'd never even heard of or vaguely had heard of, their entire team all year. Talk about just the different... I just knew you were a numbers guy and interested in bizarre statistics. I thought this was crazy. Not only that Kansas City had twice as many as the number 2 team, In fact, more than half of the teams on the list had less than 500 pitches
nuts.
This year of 97 or better. But the Oakland Athletics had 75, and the Minnesota Twins had 1. I thought that was just so comical.
I'm looking at those numbers.
The bizarre difference between the highest and the lowest, 2,287 to 1, just struck me as funny and interesting, and I thought you'd like seeing it.
Yeah, I do. He sent me this as he was wrapping up that conversation about Florida State. I'm going, wait a minute, what is this now? Over 97. One pitch. What a list. First off, where do people even come up with these lists? But somebody counted every pitch that Major League Baseball teams made that were over 97 miles an hour, and that is amazing. That the minute, how do you statistically just not end up with 2 or 3? One pitch all season from your whole team that's over 97 miles an hour. That is amazing. Like, that's one of those, I do love it. I will remember that one, and I'll probably re-mention it in a random conversation 5 years from now, because that's just, that's nuts. Indians, by the way, if you're just wondering, just outside
number
the
11,
top 10 there. Yeah, number 11 at 618. But I was looking at exactly what you said. From 15 below, they're all under 500 pitches. But yeah, Oakland, even 75 looks small, but 1. And just amazing. And Kansas City and their pitching staff threw 2,286 more pitches at 97 miles an hour than the Minnesota Twins did. That's great. You can always send me stuff like that, man. Those are a trip, man. Dan, great conversation tonight. Game 7, and then baseball. Man, now we're on to the Indians are back on the clock, so we'll switch our focus a bit there. But
I also understand there's a basketball game of some sort going on tonight.
Something,
too, here, so.
Yeah, some basketball going on. I don't know, that James guy has got his friends and they're hooping it up or something. Man, I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that here a little bit. The basketball season.
Oh yeah.
Got the Bucks this
weekend.
weekend.
I'll catch
Browns.
up to you Monday. We'll wrap it all up.
Yeah, real quick. Browns this weekend. Are we talking about a win?
Oh yeah, I think we'll get them. I think we'll get them. I think we're going to finish 5-3 in first half, and who knows? Let's play the games, and everybody knows the games aren't played on paper. Everybody knows they're played inside of flat screen television sets. So we'll just watch the second half of the season and see what happens. But yeah, I think if the Browns win Sunday and go 5-3 in the first half, I think they can go 4-4 in the second half. And boy, if this team would go 9-7, you'd have the town on their ear.
Tempting fate there with that one, Dan. Let's see what happens. Have a good one. We'll talk Buckeyes. We'll talk Browns. All that good stuff on Monday.
Sounds good, Jerry. See you then.
You got it. My man, Dan Wismar. I cannot believe one pitch all season over 97 miles an hour. Man, well, poor now I feel really bad that he got hired. No wonder. Kind of tough sledding there with that pitching staff over there. All right, guys, we're gonna take a break, final break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, let's set the stage. Speaking of that, Cavs. And matter of fact, we'll go over the NBA tip-off from last night. Couple of things. Cavs. I saw an interesting note. The various lineups that they've brought out there in the previous LeBron James run compared to tonight. We'll talk about the slate of things coming up. Tomorrow, Jose Canseco shoots himself. Seriously, I'm not even joking. Luckily, it's nothing serious or I couldn't chuckle while I say that. But we'll talk about all of that. We'll wrap it up. Don't go anywhere. Final segment of The Fix coming up next.
Come on, come on. You know it feels so good. Come on, come on. Oh, shake it, shake it, shake it, Sloopy. Come on, come on. Oh, shake it, yeah. Come on, come on. Hang on, Sloopy, Sloopy, hang on, yeah.
The Sports Fix.
A shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
The Sports Fix.
A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of criminals who operate above the law.
The Fix is in. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking